Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Friday, April the 25th. And welcome to our commentary. Let me just begin with a sad note. I learned this morning that my friend Marcos Nelson Suarez passed away. Marcos Nelson was originally born in Cuba, came to the United States in 1980, and had lived here in the Dallas Fort Worth area for I'm going to guess about 30 years. I've known him for about 30 years, and he made quite a story, quite a story in his life. He When he came to the United States, he eventually, as I said, ended up in Texas, and he built a newspaper here, a Spanish-speaking Spanish print newspaper back in the 90s. Became a very successful newspaper, and it became, in many ways, the most important Spanish newspaper in the area. He since sold that paper and was doing other things as far as business, but quite an interesting guy. He was always a lot of fun to talk to. In fact, by coincidence, I am planning to run this weekend an interview that I had with him. And I say by coincidence because it's 45 years since he came to the United States. He came here through the Mariel boat lift back in 1980. So every year in the anniversary, I usually have a chat with him and talk about it. So I had a video that I recorded with him a few years ago about the whole thing and his story. And he tells the story of how he left Cuba. Fascinating interview. So it'll be available in my blog over the weekend. And I haven't had a chance to talk to his family yet, but I hope to soon. But again, rest in peace, Marcos. You were an absolutely good guy, a good man to know, very interesting guy, one of the most interesting people that I've ever talked to over the years. So Marcos Nelson Suarez, who was born in Cuba in 1949 and unfortunately passed away this week. His death was not a shock because he had been suffering from cancer, so it was not a total shock. But nevertheless, it's always tough to lose a friend when you get the news. So rest in peace, Marcos. It was a great pleasure to have known you all these years, and as I said, I've known him for over 30 years here in the Texas area. Well, over in Rome this weekend, Saturday morning, actually, they're going to have a funeral for Pope Francis. He will be buried there in the Vatican. It's always a great ceremony to watch these funerals. I remember the one for Pope John Paul II was absolutely stunning. And the president and the first lady will be attending. And I don't know how long they're going to stay over there, but they will be attending. And now, of course, the focus is on who's going to replace Pope Francis. And that's an interesting focus. I think that there is a lot at stake for the church here. I don't want to exaggerate the importance of this pick, but I do believe it's an important one for the church. I think the Catholic Church is at a point right now where the next pope is going to have a very important influence in the future of this church. I mean, the church is undergoing problems here in the United States, not recruiting priests, not honestly, people are not going to Catholic Church like they used to. In Europe, it's even worse. And we'll see. But as I mentioned in a previous video, what I want to see is a pope that is a combination of John Paul II and Pope Benedict. That's what I want to see. I want to see someone with the charisma of John Paul. Now, that's going to be hard to find, but hopefully there is somebody close to that. And the intellect of Pope Benedict. Those two men, if there's a man out there in that group of potential popes who can combine those two qualities, that would be my favorite pope. But I guess we'll know. We'll know probably. Sometimes it can be very quick. I mean, there is no timetable. There's no clock for this. It's whenever it happens. And I'm guessing it's going to be probably at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. That's sort of what it was, I think, the last time with when Pope Benedict became the Pope, or even with Pope Francis. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But rest in peace, Pope Francis, and thank you for your service to the Catholic Church all of these years. Well, more and more articles. I've got one today over at the American Thinker. I've got another one tomorrow where I'm talking about the Democrats and their woke problem, and their woke problem is a bad problem. The one that I have over at the American Thinker today talks about something called dark woke. And dark woke is a more aggressive type of woke where they're sort of going after Trump, any way they can. And then you have the article that I've got Saturday morning, which is based on the new senator from Michigan who is coming out saying, hey guys, we got to change our acts because, we're losing people. Now, the new senator from Michigan, you may know this lady. I can't think of her name right now, but Istafabik, I think it is. But she was just elected to the Senate like by a point. That was a very close election to the U.S. Senate in Michigan. And of course, Michigan is a state where President Trump is doing well. And one of the reasons he's doing well is because he's getting more and more support from the auto workers who obviously don't like what's happening to their situation, particularly with this crazy international trade where, they can sell their cars here, but we can't quite sell our cars over there. And I think they want to see a change in that. And the Auto Workers Union has come out quite strongly in favor of these tariffs. And how all of that shakes out, we will see over the next few months, I suppose, as these deals are being made. But there's no question that the Democrats are in trouble. They've got problems. They've got deep problems. And how you get this party disinfected, how do you disinfect this party from its woke problem? It's a challenge. I don't see how they do it because the woke culture, the woke attitude is so deep in this party right now. I mean, all you had to do was go to watch their convention when they were picking a chairman. And that was all woke. It was woke 24/7. All you got to do is listen to them. Look at the way they behaved when President Trump spoke to the Congress. It's woke 24/7. But what they don't realize is that they're speaking to a smaller and smaller audience when all they do is talk woke. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be really hard for them to disinfect the party from the woke disease. I really think it can be done. Yes, it can be done. But it's going to take, the closest thing to it, the last time, I should say this, the last time, when Bill Clinton won the presidency in 1992, promising to move the party more to the center, Bill Clinton got very lucky that year. And that was because Ross Perot divided the Republicans that year. And that's really what got him elected. I mean, that's how he got elected, by dividing the Republican vote. Perot took 19% of the vote, and most of those were white men who would have voted Republican, or at least they would have stayed home. So I don't know whether they can catch a break like that in the future. Maybe they can. I suppose their only hope right now is that Trump messes things up so badly, that things are so bad in 2028 that people say, okay, we're going in the other direction. We don't want any more of this Trump stuff. I guess that could happen. I don't think it's likely, but I think that could happen. But they have got to get over woke, and they're going to have to present an image to the American people of a party that stands for something other than we hate Trump. That's the key, I think. They need to stand for something more than just we hate Trump. So far, I have not seen it. We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. Well, a couple of judges, if you didn't hear about this, may end up going to jail if they're convicted. One is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who was protecting an illegal immigrant, not just an illegal immigrant, but a guy who had been accused of killing somebody, or at least engaging in domestic violence of some type. And then one in Arizona who was hiding a member of this gang, whatever their name is, Tren de Aragua, or whatever their name is. And these two judges have been arrested, I guess. And the attorney general is going to throw the book at these two people. And I'm glad she is. Look, if judges are not going to enforce the law, then what's the point of having judges? And I think what we're also seeing, getting back to the woke problem in the Democrat Party, I think what we're also seeing here is just how crazy this party has become, because they hate Trump so much. They think that everything's about Trump. So they're going to oppose Trump. They hate everything he does. So they're going to do whatever these crazy things that they're doing, and they don't realize that they're going to get themselves in trouble if they keep that up. I think also the message here from the Trump administration is we're coming after the sanctuary cities, and if you get in our way, talk to these two judges, and they'll tell you what can happen to you. So that's an important story, important message that the Trump administration is sending to these sanctuary cities. You're going to get arrested if you stand in our way. Well, a quick thing: vouchers were approved in Texas this week, and the governor should be signing it. Should be signing it next week. So that's a major step in the right direction for Texas and education. Well, we're going to remember something very special on this day in 1976. 1976, of course, for those of you who remember, like I do, was the bicentennial year. Everybody was in a patriotic mode that year. And there was a baseball game in early April about this time in 1976. And before the game, in between innings or something, these two guys jumped on the field and they wanted to burn an American flag. They literally had gasoline and a match, and they were ready to start burning the flag. So Rick Monday, who was playing center field for the Cubs, he ran over, he grabbed the flag, and he saved the flag. And Rick Monday became a big hero. It was a big story that day across the country. And here we are almost 50 years later, we're remembering Rick Monday. He's still around. He's still around, Rick Monday. And he is remembered. I mean, some people consider this the greatest play in Major League history. I certainly think it is. I think it's one of them, at least, to say the least. One of the great plays when the center fielder just saw the flag. So a couple of guys who wanted to burn the flag, and he ran over, he grabbed it, and saved the flag. Of course, the guys trying to burn the flag were arrested, and that's a good thing. By the way, I have a post about this coming out over the weekend. But if you look at my blog today, I have the video of that incident. So if you check my blog, or you just go to YouTube and put Rick Monday flag 1976, and you'll be able to see the video. It's really interesting. It's really interesting how something like this can just happen all of a sudden at a baseball game. It's truly fascinating. Have a great weekend. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.